Today we are freezing beans, and one of the reasons we're doing it right now is because it's hot outside and none of us feels like going back out and working in the heat. However, August is definitely food preservation month, so I feel very blessed to have all of these beautiful pole beans. Claire, can you rattle off the names of all these?
We have rattlesnake,
Rattlesnake is this one right here with the purple stripes on it.
I
Highly
think
prolific.
Gold Rush.
Gold Rush is this flat one?
I think so.
Okay.
These are called blue cocoa.
The purple ones?
We have Vortex in here, but not so many.
There are these long ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hard to find on the trellises.
Okay. And there's a yellow. Do you know what the yellow skinny one is? This one right here? No.
It'll take
That's
me
fine. Anyway, we planted a whole bunch of different pole beans, and they're really, I think, tastier than green beans that are on the vine. They usually, if you have a healthy pole bean, it'll hopefully last longer than the green beans that we do on the ground, which are hard on the back, but prolific for a short period of time. So anyway, today we're freezing them. And so we have Ari, who's behind the camera right now, but usually working, and I are tipping. And so are you tipping too? And Maya's tipping, and then Claire and Juan are just chopping them up into small pieces. And we will, Juan without his beard now.
Buenas
So,
tardes.
so which, once we get these all chopped up, then we'll put on a pot of water over there, and so I'll show you how to freeze them all. Okay, we're ready to go on to round two for the beans. We have this wonderful chopping expedition, a huge bag. It was actually a fruit top crate. It was completely full. We got it done in a half hour. And these are the ones we're going to freeze now. Later, I'll do the rest of them later. We need to go back out and eat carrots. But here we are with our water boiling on the stove. It's very nice. And we're going to throw these in here. Got a few on the stove top itself, sadly. Just gotta get all those up without burning myself. Okay, I'll put that lid back on, and the next thing we're waiting for is for the pot to come back to a boil. So while we're waiting for that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about raising beans, because I used to think of raising beans as a real slam dunk operation. We used to be able to get many beans quickly. But for some reason we went through a period where we were getting a lot of Mexican bean beetle, and then they'd come in and kind of attack the plants, and then after that the fungus sets in and then the plants die. And so we've been working very hard, specifically for the green beans, to get really good fertility set up for them so that they can do well. This year they're doing pretty well. We've been harvesting our first bed of green beans for 3 weeks, do you think, or is it maybe 4? Yeah, it's been a while. They're getting on waning, but we also have pole beans, which are doing quite well right now. But I just wanted to share with you these recipes. When we're preparing to plant our green beans, we put down a soil drench, which has these items in it. These are all items from the Advancing Eco Agriculture. It's a mix that we mix it up in a 2.5 gallon jug, and then we take out a quart at a time to do our spraying all over the soil. So 2 quarts of Accelerate, which is a fertility product that specifically helps with reproductive qualities. Holocal is a calcium thing. Rejuvenate, it has a lot of molasses, and also really helps the soil organisms wake up. Manganese, Sea Crop, which is sea minerals, cobalt, and then BioCoat Gold, which is another biological that wakes up the microbes. And then that's what we do 3 times over the season. Once on May 15th, 6/15, and also July 15th. And then we have a reproductive weekly foliar, which we do actually every week. And then last week, when we were looking like our beans were struggling, we've had a significant amount of rain this summer, which is really hard when things if they sit in the water, or it just starts to encourage more fungal growth. So we're using it twice a week over the last 2 weeks. But this is a foliar that we put onto the beans, and we basically use it every week until the beans are not there. It has calcium in it. Photomag means photosynthesis magnification, and accelerate again, manganese, copper, iron, C crop. OK is a potassium and molybdenum and zinc. And then we're putting in Micro 5000, which is another biological, and we've been also using a quart of Epsom salts mix per tank. We mix 2 pounds of Epsom salts in 5 gallons of water to make a slurry that adds more magnesium to our system, because after looking at our plants with our specialist from AEA, he suggested that our magnesium levels were low. So that's why we put that in there. So that's really part of what helps make it all go well. And we also mulch our beans really heavily with hay. Keeps down the weeds, but also encourages earthworms, and just makes it for a better system for them to grow in. Really, a real fan of using micro fertility. You can see there's some bubbles forming here, but not quite boiling. So we're going to just do this a little bit. Put this back on again. I probably could have used a little bit less water in this case. I normally would throw more beans in, but wanted to just do a small batch today. So, any other things that I can talk about right now until these boil?
Well, can you talk a little bit about, just like in general, what does it mean that these additives are organic, and like how, just like what does it mean to supplement your soil as an organic farm?
Why do we do it, you're saying?
Or just like what does it mean, like where those are all natural additives?
Yeah, these are all certifiably organic products that are, been formulated by the folks at AEA. I am a believer in maximum fertility for maximum taste, and also for maximum nutrition in the plant, and also maximum yield. So it's kind of a triple win. The quadruple part of the win is that when you have a very healthy plant that's photosynthesizing to its full capacity, or even more of its capacity than it would normally if it was just kind of limping along, it'll be drawing more carbon out of the atmosphere and bringing it down into the root zone of the plants that need it. Our boiler is on. I can see it, so we're going to start our 3-minute timer. We're trying to do our part for carbon sequestration and soil, climate amelioration. It's an interesting fact that if all of the farmland, or even a third of the farmland in the world, started using carbon sequestration practices, we could really bring these carbon levels down and really have a huge impact on global warming. It's more and more known. Most people understand about using less, resources like petroleum, for example, but don't really understand that we as farmers and gardeners, and then those who eat our food, really support ameliorating climate change by really eating healthy food that's been raised in a carbon sequestering fashion. That means using as much mulch as possible, using appropriate fertility to enhance the photosynthesis. It means having a very biodiverse system. So bringing in, we bring in all sorts of mixed cover crops. Right next to the beans, we have our corn, and in that corn, we've been able to plant a nice mixed cover crop, which has grasses like oats and legumes like clover and forbs, they're called, like buckwheat, and then some of the brassica family. When you bring in all those different families into a place together, they all the synergy becomes phenomenal, because of the fact that each type of crop is going to be calling on different kinds of microbes in the soil. So when they all start working together, you just start to have this beautiful symphony of productivity, and that builds the soil underground. It just builds the mycorrhizal fungal networks, and the soil goes deeper and deeper and deeper. The carbon goes in there, and then you have better water holding capacity. So you have years like we do here where it just rained, almost all of July. We can hold that water instead of having it pooling and running off and sogging up the plants and rotting them. Or an alternative, if it's dry, they also can make use of the water that is in the soil. It attracts a lot of earthworms, who are really the little rototillers that are in there in the soil, just moving back and forth all the time and making channels, which the roots can go deeper into those channels and can go deeper to get more mineral from the soil. So it's all this just really wonderful synergistic situation that happens when we try to grow in a carbon sequestering fashion with ultimate fertility. I get very excited about it. And, the food tastes super good. And we are down to 8 seconds. I'm going to turn this puppy off, and we are going to take these beans off. Okay. So the beans come off the stove, and we're going to go right over here past Anthony into the calendar. And I explained this in my last video. What we want to do is to cook the vegetable that we're working with. You want to cook it just enough to stop the enzyme action in the plants, but they also have a nice crunch to them still. So they just change a little bit of color, but you see the greens are still quite green, the yellow is still a nice bright yellow, that we're holding on to the food value of these beans. And so when we get them out to cook them later, we'll just bring the water to a boil and pop them in, and we'll have to just cook them for like a minute probably, and they'll be ready and perfectly tasty and not soggy. I think one of the problems with frozen food is it can taste soggy and tasteless. But this really, when you just blanch them, this is called blanching, just the right amount, you will end up with a very nice product that tastes super good. And if you're raising your own food and you want to save some money, or if you're a part of a CSA and you're getting too much food and can't deal with all of it, freeze some of it and have it available for winter time. It's really a nice way to, take care of your own food security. So those are cooled off. I'm going to just pour them into these bags. These are the bags I got from Uline that are, I don't remember, 4 or 6 mil, but a nice mil bag so that it doesn't break whenever you drop these, or I don't know. I think I'm gonna have a mistake, a boo-boo here if I'm not careful. I'm just gonna load them into this bag, and then we'll lay them flat and put them in for a nice solid freeze in the freezer. Fast. Everything's got to be done fast. Cook it fast, rinse it fast, and then freeze it fast in order for them to stay as high quality as possible. So let me I'll just finish this one up. And then we'll get all the way down here, and then leave a little space for the air to get out. And voila! A bag of frozen beans. And we can take those out and probably drop this on the floor. When I want to get some out, it'll crack apart. We can take out as many as we want for dinner.